Namaste, and welcome back to Grow with the J.A.N family.
I'm Anjali.
And today we're going to be watching part of a documentary on the Chinese Communist parties and how they're tracking down the origins of this Wuhan virus and and who's responsible for all this. Like, China has not taken any responsibility for this virus that has started in Wuhan. They are pointing fingers other places. They are shutting down the media. They're not saying anything.
They're not having anyone say anything.
And the numbers are going up around the world. They're taking no responsibility for this whatsoever. And here in the US, we have the highest numbers of any country. So many deaths, over 40 or 50,000 deaths have already come from this. Over 1 million people are affected by the virus itself. That is not including unemployment. People are not having food. The farmers have no place to sell their food to because people are not allowed out of their house. When's the last time you've been outside?
I don't remember.
Yeah. She can't even go to school. This is affecting people not only health-wise, physically, emotionally, being stuck inside because the weather, for one thing. We are being stuck inside because of this virus. This is like a nightmare. This is like one of those horror movies you see and it's come true. Like, you can't go outside unless you have a mask on. Don't go unless you absolutely need it. So you can't go to work. You can't go to school. You can't see your friends. You can't do anything. And you need essentials. You need money. You need food. And even afraid to go to the doctor. We're like, don't get hurt because we don't want to get the coronavirus. We'll all die. And China has not taken any responsibility for this. None whatsoever. And they need to be accountable. They are one of the top powers, and this is how they respond in an epidemic that they've started in their own country. It's affecting everybody.
Everyone.
Everybody. So this documentary, we have shortened it to give you the highlights of it. But go to the original link, we'll put it down below, and watch the whole thing entirety. We need more people like this that can find the truth. Because even in this documentary, he said he tried to get people to come on to speak, and they were afraid of the Chinese Communist Party. Being in the US or being in other countries, they are affecting the world with this coronavirus and with their communism. And it needs to stop. So we're going to start this up and let you watch the video with us.
Yeah.
All right?
Every person it harms is directly attributable to the Chinese Communist Party.
First patient onset was actually on December 1st. These patients were not related to Huanan seafood market, and also no epidemiological association was found between the first patient and subsequent patient.
Certainly the Lancet paper showing that supposed patient 0 was nowhere near the market. Secondly, that there are no bats in the seafood market or anywhere close. The idea of the spread so fast through a population, just the way it was said through the seafood market, is highly unlikely and improbable.
The numbers that we're getting from China about new infections and deaths are highly suspicious.
Hard to see protein is 100% identical when the virus jumps species. And so that was suggesting maybe the virus could be generated with a reverse engineer process.
I certainly believe that the 100% amino acid similarity says it can't possibly be a natural mutation. Well, the S proteins, the high similarity of the S proteins from Sars 1 to now SARS-2, that's your spike protein. That's the lock and key. That's going to be what drives it right through human cells. And so we know that's the pathogenic spike protein that for the original SARS. So now you're allowing that access to human tissues because the spike proteins of the natural evolutionary strains don't infect human cells at all. So that research has been going on at Wuhan and published since 2007. And clearly, if that spike protein from SARS weren't on the new COVID-19 or SARS-2, it wouldn't be able to enter human cells.
There is no other way of looking at it. They are responsible for the continuation of this coronavirus.
Dr. J.A.N. Li, she is one of the top experts in China studying about coronavirus. Her lab had these capacities and very sophisticated capacity to generate mutations to make it best fit in human expression as well.
Delving further into related information, I discovered that J.A.N. Li published not one, but 4 papers in total. In other words, her team's research in the Wuhan lab has been looking into the part that can make coronaviruses transmittable to humans. It also signified that she had unearthed the passageway for coronaviruses into human bodies. Indian researchers compared the S protein sequence between 2019 nCoV and SARS. They discovered that 2019 nCoV had 4 new sequences inserted, all of which can be found in HIV sequences through a search on GenBank.
The research that they actually published, they were working on developing a coronavirus for the human host, which, leads you to question, why would you be creating a coronavirus that can infect humans? What would be the purpose of that research? Is it for a weapon? Is it so that you can then create a vaccine that you are the sole recipient of the profits from? The Chinese have full access to our databases. They have full access to all that research that comes out. They have full access to all our universities that train there. Full access to our scientists, like was, with the recent indictment of the head of the chemistry department at Harvard.
Safety level 4, it was just as lacking in safety, in rigor. You can argue that they don't care.
Yang wrote, "After the first Taiwan Strait crisis, we realized that if the Chinese and American military fought head-on, we are at a disadvantage. Therefore, we need a new strategy to help our military tilt the balance of power." Former intelligence officer Danny Shoham published a paper in 2015 in India's Journal of Defense Studies. He pointed out that China will not miss, skip, or abandon any highly advanced technology, especially military-related technology. The article noted that China had 12 facilities related to the Ministry of National Defense and 30 subsidiary facilities of the PLA participating in the research, development, manufacturing, testing, or storage of biological weapons.
There's a lot of concern about what China's ambitions are regarding long-term global domination. I'll just say it that. Their military doctrines indicated that they intend to be the dominant political and military force in the Pacific Rim. I've talked to senior members of the Trump administration who have had conversations with the senior Chinese generals, and that's what they basically say. It's in their doctrine too. So we have to examine this new clue. This is one piece of the, Wuhan, biological warfare. Does this mean something to these other things we're already seeing?
On March 24th, Texas lawyer Larry Klayman filed a complaint in Texas federal court seeking at least $20 trillion from the Chinese government. The Chinese people are a good people, but their government is not, and it must be made to pay dearly. On April 4th, the British think tank Henry Jackson Society advocated for compensation of £351 billion from the CCP to the UK. On the same day, the All India Bar Association filed a complaint to the United Nations Human Rights Council, seeking an unspecified amount as reparations from China over the global spread of the coronavirus. The United States and the international community must regain their senses and take action. Reveal the truth through investigations, initiate sanctions against the CCP, and seek massive restitution for the worldwide public health emergency resulting in tremendous health and economic loss.
Rebuilding our country. Let's start investing in our people. Let's start inspiring people to love democracy. I mean, it gives us a real opportunity to kind of reevaluate the kind of world we want to live in.
So, like I said, this was just a clip of this documentary on China and the Communist Party and the cover-up that is going on. And the thing that gets me the most is how much people here in the West are being affected by the Communist Party in China, because they have companies there or money there that they're zipping their mouth and they're not coming on camera, or they're not saying anything bad against China because they're afraid of the Communist Party. We live in the United States of America. This is a democracy. You should have freedom of speech. And it just baffles me that they have that much power that they are silencing people here in the U.S.
Yeah. Another thing, if this was an accident, why are they silencing people? How many secrets do they have? Do they have the cure to this? Like, what is going on?
Yeah. And why were you studying it in the first place? Why were you manipulating a virus that wasn't meant to be in humans so that you could get it into humans, and now there's no cure for this? Why? And it's been going on apparently for years.
It's been going on since 2007, which is 13 years.
Yeah.
And nobody could figure it out, or nobody could speak and say, like, this is going to affect everyone. Besides that doctor, which just came around, and they threw him in jail, and now they need him, and he's gone.
Yeah. So the doctor that talked about the virus, he came out and said, like, I've never seen a virus like this before. This is unusual. You know, what is happening? Where did it come from? Like, he was questioning stuff. He got thrown in jail. They finally release him from jail to go back to the hospital to help patients that are dying. And he gets the coronavirus himself and dies. You know, that is not the type of political leader you want in charge of the UN and a seat in the UN. They are one of the top countries, you know.
But why are they one of the top countries?
They shouldn't be one of the top 5 countries. If you're hiding stuff from other people and you're doing this biological warfare, is what I'm going to call it, because I think that was the intention, and maybe it leaked out and got on their people, but if it doesn't affect the Communist Party, it doesn't matter. Like, you don't care if you kill your own people as well. And now it's all over the world. Oops, by accident. You still need to be accountable for it. You cannot hold one of the top seats in the UN. You cannot be one of the top countries, and you, slipped this virus out that you were planning somehow in some kind of biological warfare against the US. And now the world has it.
Leaked.
Yeah. It's definitely, you know, the doctors in this talked about it is not natural. The virus
it's not natural.
Has been altered and is not natural. This is not like something that you would just get from the bat. This is something that's been altered in a lab and somehow got out on purpose, on accident. But the Chinese Communist Party, that government, needs to take responsibility. They are not taking any responsibility. They're silencing people in China. They're silencing people apparently outside of China that are afraid of them. You know, this is not how it should be. This is not how great powers should be.
No.
They should be, when you want to be the leader of the world, this is not how you lead the world to destruction. Yeah.
You lead the world to greater things. You don't lead the world to destruction, like you said, like, seriously.
You got China, this Communist Party that is in charge of silencing all this, that is putting hands over people and not letting them speak. It's not letting people in from outside to investigate. When it went down in Wuhan, they were allowing international flights outside to other countries, but not allowing anyone from inside of China into Wuhan or out of Wuhan. Why? What are you hiding? Why were you allowing it to spread all over the world and not all over China? Because you knew what it was. You've been researching it. It's part of some biological warfare to take over the world. I don't know, but enough of the world has had this crap. The U.S. is not the only people that are suing China.
No.
India is suing China. There are other countries that are suing China. You guys, the Chinese Communist Party needs to be accountable for all the deaths, for all the damages, and at least an apology. Holy crap. You walk next to somebody, you bump into them. Don't you say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bother you? You know, if I sneezed on Anjali, I won't do it. I'm going to be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. This is like, let me spread death all over the world. Oh, not my fault. I didn't do it. Not my fault. No, there needs to be a price to pay. People, for here in the U.S., I think, like they said, democracy needs to come back home. You need to have responsibilities for your actions. Everybody has responsibility for their actions. And I think the world needs to come together and make sure that China is not number one, or the Communist Party needs to go away, because it's not the Chinese people there. It's not the Chinese people here or around the world. They are not part of this. It is the Communist China Party that is propagating all this crap across China and apparently across the world, silencing people all over the place because they have, money in that country. Take your money out. The U.S. needs to pull all of its goods out. We need to start making stuff here in the United States
because
of America.
We can make stuff here.
Yeah. Our food needs to come here. Technology, military, all of that stuff. They were talking about China having information from technologies, from different doctors, from hospitals, from here and there. No, we need to keep some of this here in the U.S. We need to bring back these countries. And if you need some countries to make clothes or things that aren't necessities, fine. There are a lot of other countries that are democratic that could make us some wonderful clothes, like India. You don't need China. We can go
live
without
China.
Plastic crap. We have it all over our house. We are no longer buying anything that says made in China. No. And we would like everybody in the U.S. to make sure you write in bold letters, made in China,
the USA.
Or made in the USA. And if they're side by side, you let consumers choose. Are you going to pick the one that says made in the USA? Or are you going to pick the one that says made in China? After all this, I hope everybody picks something that is either made from their own country or made in the USA if you live here in the USA. You should not be buying stuff from China. You should not be supporting this regime. I don't care if you're making $1 bazillion because they have a company and they can make it for 10 cents, but if we made it here, it'd be $1. Who gives a crap? You're making 90% profit off of people who are killing everybody in the world, and they don't care. They don't care about the people in their own country, and they sure as hell don't care about anybody outside their country. So this is what we are trying to say. We need to bring the stuff back here, essentials.
Yeah.
And not let stuff get out, because this, if China's not held responsible for this, I don't know.
If they cared about someone in 2007, they would have not done this. Like, they would have not started this.
Research,
anything. Like, they could have started the research, but they wouldn't have done it for a bad purpose. Like, you could have made this into a cure for something, but no, you decided to make it like this biological weapon.
Yeah. Well, the way they talked in the video, there were clips of, and it wasn't 100% clear, but somehow the government has a hand on that lab. And so, maybe this was their only way of biological warfare. And if that was the case, and then now they're turning it into, oops, it leaped from the lab, still, there needs to be responsibility for this. China needs to take responsibility for this and try to help fix it, instead of hoarding masks and ventilators and washing their hands or pointing fingers at, the meat market that had nothing to do with it, so that the world would look away and maybe go away if they don't let you in, right? No. We need more documentaries like this. We need more people like this guy that will go in and ask the hard questions, and hopefully we'll get some answers.
We need people on the inside, because there are people on the inside, but they don't speak because they're afraid of China. You need to speak up, because if you don't speak up, no one's going to know about this, and it's never going to go away.
Yeah, and we need some answers. Lots of answers. And China needs to be responsible for this. So you can't be a world leader and basically destroy the world in the same hand. So, I hope you guys go and watch the full length of this video and make some comments to him and let him know, like, he needs to make more videos like this, or we need some other people to make some more videos like this to find out the truth behind the coronavirus and what really happened and how China can be responsible for this in the end, because it needs to be.
Yeah.
So I hope you guys like this.
And don't forget to subscribe.
Join the wonderful J.A.N family, and we'll see you
Tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.